with Rebecca Bush. Come here, John. I want to thank John, my husband, who is amazing and who helped me get all this set up because I'm really bad at tech. And so, hope that you'll bear with me here as we work through. I am also the producer of this podcast now. I'm going to be sharing and bringing Cynthia on in a moment. So hopefully I don't mess up any of the tech stuff.
Look at this shirt.
Yeah, this is my Costa Rica shirt. So I actually got this for my birthday. And I just thought it would be absolutely perfect for this podcast, for podcast numero uno, where we are going to speak about Costa Rica and visiting a lot of the cool eco-villages. So just real quick before I bring on our guest, CynthiaTina, I wanted to share, this is the very first podcast that I'll be posting. My intention is to post one every week on Wednesday around in the afternoon. And, my channel, it was called Tiny Homes by Rebecca, which I've always been interested in, like alternative living and the agri-hood community that I used to help with, and, growing food and living an alternative lifestyle, like not just, paying for an apartment that you'll never own and you can't grow your own food and you can't compost and everything. It just always kind of made sense to me to like know your neighbors, live with a community that maybe they enjoy gardening and you enjoy stewarding the chicken coop, or, kind of managing the communal needs collectively and in a way that's super synergistic for everyone involved. So the channel used to be focused on my tiny homes, and now I'm opening it up more broadly to just intentional communities, eco-villages, and in general, living free, living in alignment with the earth. And really, there's nothing more intimate than where you sleep at night, than where you live on a day-to-day basis. And that's why I wanted to bring the one and only CynthiaTina from Community Finders as well as Eco-Village Tours onto the podcast as our very first guest. And so I'm really excited to be joined by CynthiaTina. Here she is. Yay.
Hello. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. So
hi, Cynthia.
Here on your very first episode. Congratulations.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, it is. We've done video work and webinars and workshops for a really long time, but this is the first episode ever just focused on, sharing information about alternative living from my perspective, because a lot of Live Free Academy is like John and more masculine and like conspiracy theories and that, which is all great and fine. But I really wanted to shed light on some of the beautiful work that people are doing in the world that is more feminine and nurturing. And I just feel like you are the perfect embodiment of all of those things. And also, do you want to share about your project you're working on and this eco-village tour opportunity? Because I know the early bird deadline does end on Friday. So I'll just hand it over to you if you want to share a little bit about yourself, and then also more specifically why I'm wearing my fun Costa Rica shirt. But let me put you on full screen.
Sure. And fantastic shirt. So appropriate. Good. Yeah. So as Rebecca mentioned, the early bird does end on Friday, October 27th, for our upcoming Eco-Village tour in Costa Rica. So I'm excited to share about the tour, and I'll also share a bit about myself and my background. And there's the website, and we can walk through the website later, and I can show you more about what's in store on the trip. So firstly, hi for folks I haven't connected with yet. My name is Cynthia. I'm calling in from Vermont, where I live at a small intentional community called Headwaters Eco-Village. And we're about 8 households living on 15 acres, big garden, lots of kids, families. Everyone who lives here has built their own home. So I'm also in the process over the last 4 years of building my house. And I come to this community after nearly a decade of traveling the world, visiting many other, well over 100 other eco-villages, intentional communities, co-housings, homesteading cooperatives, tiny house villages, all kinds of intentional communities. It's truly my passion. And, when you're in this space for so long doing this work, connecting, it just sort of makes sense. It's a natural progression for me to want to invite others into this world of communities and help them on their journey. So as Rebecca mentioned, I have 2 projects. One is Community Finders, where I help people find intentional community. So find existing communities to join and also support communities in getting started. And then what we're mostly going to talk about today is Ecovillage Tours. So this is actually a company that I started in 2019. At the tail end, our first trip was set up for 2020. And of course, you know what happened, COVID. So things got put on pause for a little while, but we were able to resume our tours this year, running some tours in Europe, and now coming up in January, going to Costa Rica. And it is truly, I have to say, like the joy of my life to be able to bring people to these very special places that are actually kind of hard to access maybe on your own. But when you're traveling with a group where everyone is just in this mode of wanting to explore and really have their lives transformed, something really special can happen. You get one-on-one time with community founders. You really get your questions answered. You get to immerse yourself in a different way of living. And my hope is that through these trips, you'll not only have a great time, but be able to get inspired and use what you learn back home. Whether or not you're living in community, you'll be able to suffuse your life with some of the principles and practices that you learn on the trip. So that's the intention. And happy to dive into more of the details with you and show you the website if you like.
Yes. Yeah. I'll pull up the website in a second. And just to add to that, so I have firsthand experience with visiting communities, the challenge of the logistics, because many of these properties are very remote. And it's not just like lining up, okay, when do they do public tours, or when am I even invited to go check this out and we'll actually have someone show me around, because this can be hundreds of acres or smaller sometimes also, but still it's an intimate experience to be invited and to go experience these communities. So you got to get in touch with the community and then figure out who it is that's going to do a property tour. And then it's like, where am I going to stay? Because trust me, there are not a lot of hotels and lodging and all of that's like a lot to manage. And then also it's like, well, what are you going to eat? What are the meals that are planned? And so the fact that Cynthia has mapped out and has executed multiple of these Ecovillage tours, like I've been so jealous that I couldn't join the one that you did in June. I really wanted to go to, it was Slovenia, right, in Europe.
Yes.
But this whole Costa Rica situation, I mean, this is cool because, there are a lot of intentional communities across the world, but there's something special about the way these Costa Rica communities have evolved so quickly, very luxurious, very focused around, food forestry and a lot of established roots. And it's like, if you want to go join an existing community, in the United States, there are many, but there's a lot of like deed restrictions or like zoning laws. And it's a lot to figure out how to live this lifestyle. And so the fact that we're able to go visit these communities in Costa Rica, which I'm going to share the website right now so that we can kind of scroll down and see all the different amazing properties. 14 different communities. There's 2 different legs of the tour. I am actually going to be going on the second leg of the tour. I'll be leaving the greater resets from like January 17th to the 21st in Mexico. So I'm going to hop on a flight Mexico City to Costa Rica. And then the second leg starts January 23rd. And Cynthia will get into all the dates. But I mean, to coordinate a experience like this is a lot. And so it's like for the headache that you're saving having to do all these logistics and everything, like the fact that there's already the transportation covered and like the logistics of an itinerary, like this is literally like the most incredible opportunity to jump in on, whether you want to move to Costa Rica or whether you just want to go experience what it's like to be in a community, to see how these different ones are set up, and even to meet people, make friends, build rapport, and have that experience of bonding with people who are interested in creating these peaceful and cooperative communities together. So let me go ahead and share screen. I'm going to disappear.
Yeah. And I'll really piggyback on what you said, Rebecca. That is the main value that you get through coming on one of these tours, because it can be a lot to plan and organize one of these trips. You could do it on your own, but you're going to make sure it's going to be a lot more smooth and easy if you come with a guide. And that's true for myself too. I'm actually partnering with a local Costa Rican, Jason Thomas, who has deep relationships with all of these communities in Costa Rica. And he's like my in helping me get connected and helping to organize all of this trip. So it's really essential to have that person who can be a contact point to help you get in and navigate. So yeah, let's go to the Costa Rica page. You can click on that button. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, so as Rebecca mentioned, we're offering 2 9-day long tours. So if you scroll down, I can walk you through what the difference is between those 2 tour offerings. And the dates of the tours are coming up in January on the 13th to the 21st. That's the first tour. And then from January 23rd to the 31st is the second tour. And we designed these tours based off of a lot of data that we got through surveying our audience. And we found out that there was really 2 types of people who were coming on the tour. Really folks who were looking for an inspirational vacation in a beautiful place, getting super inspired by these community living models that are up and running. So that's really the focus of the first tour, just communities that are a little bit further along, some of them well established with hundreds of residents. Brave Earth, actually, the one that Rebecca is showing now, is a fantastic community that is doing a lot of work with local Costa Ricans. So the indigenous people of Costa Rica, Ticos, helping to bring them into the project, making sure that they have a voice and a say over the execution, doing a lot of service projects in the local area, these very cool events as well, all kinds of different retreats and trainings. So that's one of the communities. And then going over to the second trip, so on the 23rd to the 31st, this one is a little bit more geared towards people who are serious about considering Costa Rica as a new home, who are going to be interested in communities that actually have openings for residents. Now, granted, there's a little bit of both flavors on these 2 trips, both established and communities that have openings, but definitely the second trip is more geared towards communities that have lots for sale that you can build on or homes available to purchase. Some of these communities are a little bit in the newer stage, and also some of them I think are less well known, a little bit more under the radar that you can't quite find in the normal Ecovillage directories. So it's very exciting that we're able to offer this one. Yeah, there's the home farm. Maybe you want to pull up Holos, actually, so we can showcase that one for this second trip. Holos is one that I'm learning about. It's actually a community that's entirely focused on wellness. So they have different wellness practitioners, holistic health. They have within their community what they call a state-of-the-art health center. So combining traditional ancestral ways of healing alongside modern, more innovative technologies. So really creating an environment for healing in the beautiful tropics of Costa Rica. So I'm super excited to check this one out. I love all of the different yoga offerings and spa treatments. And it's also a residential community. So, when you're living there, you also have access to all these great facilities and programs as well.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that there's so many different communities that you'll visit because you'll see a little bit of everything. And I wish I could go on both legs of the tour. But if you had to choose one or the other, to me, like if you're going to go on a vacation or some sort of, retreat or something to Costa Rica, the price to go visit and to travel and to stay and lodging and everything, I don't know how you got the bulk pricing to break it down, but it's like if you break down for the one of the tours, it's like a little bit over $200 a day, including lodging and food. Like that's amazing. Like I can't believe how you were able to break this up price wise. But I mean, the experiences in and of itself is invaluable. Like we're working on building out this community here in Central Texas, like an eco village, eco development. We're looking actually at a specific property that meets all the criteria. And it is so much to coordinate and organize and find investors and find the environmental engineer and the firm that will help to do your financials pro forma and all this stuff. let alone what it's actually like with complexities of living on the land and how that's managed and the resident experience and the visitor experience. So I am excited to go and see how these communities are doing it because, well, I would love to live in Costa Rica someday, maybe a little getaway in the winter. Or like the snowbird lifestyle, but just in general to see these incredible communities, how they've set it up legally, the different types of natural building that they've incorporated, how they have their farming and how the residents interact with the food on property, and like even the emphasis on well-being. And just with so much happening in the world right now, it's like, to me, there's nothing more important than having a connection to one another, to realigning with our connection with this earth. And an experience like this is just so incredible that you're doing this, Cynthia. So yay, thank you for putting this on.
Yeah, it's truly a joy. And my hat goes off to the communities that are inviting us in. Some of these communities really are not open to the public. Some of them, like La Ecovilla, for example, this is a residential community. They don't do outside programs. It's a place for people to live. And so I'm really grateful that they are inviting us in. And we're really taking the time with each of them to make sure that you get to experience all of the different aspects of the community and get a little taste for what life is like there. So for example, WWIII Village, which is one of the communities we'll be visiting. Oh yeah, and there's La Ecovilla. I'm really excited. La Ecovilla is like a massive, they've started with one property, 100 plus residents. They're now on their second and even third property by the time we go visit. So they're really on a roll with like dialing the model of how do you create ecovillages, how do you do it in a scalable way while also preserving that authentic community culture and deep connection. So yeah, really, really excited to check them out. Yeah, and in addition, so WWIII Village, this is a somewhat newer community.
Freedom-minded community, right?
Very much so. They've been coming to a lot of your programs as well. Yeah. So we'll be going to see them. They also have some very interesting methodologies around decision making and conflict resolution as a community, very much sort of embracing a culture of moving toward conflict, not like avoiding it, but really embracing it and processing it as a group in a healthy way. So they have invited us to actually sit in and even participate in some of those group processes that they do. So very special opportunity to like actually feel what it's like to be in community with other, freedom-minded, sovereignty-minded individuals.
Yeah, this is so amazing. I am so stoked. I can't wait for this experience. Like, wow. So there's still a few spots open, right? So what does that process look like? Like if somebody wanted to sign up today, what do they do in order to reserve their spot?
Yeah, so you'll want to go to the registration page. So first, when you're on the Ecovillage Tour website, you can read all about the Costa Rica trip, and then click on that button to register. It's a $500 deposit to reserve your space, and spaces are filling up. So this just ensures that you have your foot in your door. It's not going away. You can definitely come on the trip. And then additionally, if you want to take advantage of our early bird discount, you can purchase your entire ticket before this Friday. And we didn't talk about it earlier, but we've made this trip to be very family friendly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that was one of the big requests we got through the survey. So children 3 and under join completely for free. We do have some young kids, toddlers coming on the trip already, and we really encourage families to come. So we have reduced pricing for kids, and then also this option to get a private room supplement if you want to have your own private room throughout the duration of the tour.
Yeah, that's good to have that as an option.
Yeah,
Because a lot of the communities do, homeschooling or alternative homeschool pods, and like the kids can learn also like this lifestyle and to see that firsthand. And they're the future, so that makes a lot of sense and really cool that that's an option.
Yeah, of course. And and people like to travel with their kids, giving them that exposure. I mean, many of the families joining us, this is their vacation that they're doing as a family. It's like their big vacation of the year, but it also is suffused with this really intentional community-filled aspect. So I love that.
Yes. Well, and you're working on a lot of projects. So if you don't mind, I know we're kind of shifting gears, but you brought up community finders, but I didn't like screen share that website. So just for context of people who are like, well, maybe I can't go on this trip, but I'm still interested, or, I have to live in like this. Juliet was asking, like, do you know any communities in Canada? And so just kind of to answer her question, like, do you offer services for matchmaking, right? So people can like talk to you, do a consultation call, because there are so many intentional communities, and it's so overwhelming. If you go on the ic.org directory, it's amazing, and it's like so inspiring that there's all these incredible communities that exist. But then it's like, well, which one's right for me, and who's accepting new residents? And it's like, how am I going to figure this out? But you kind of help cut through a lot of that, not red tape, but like the time it takes to visit and see, just based on your consultations, you can talk to people like Juliet, possibly say, oh, you're in Canada. So do you mind sharing about that and what that process looks like?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you said it. I'm this community matchmaker. So I help people who want to find an existing community to join, or even just to visit a bunch of communities to get inspired for their own community project. I help connect you with the ones that are a fit for you based on where in the world you're looking, your unique situation, your values, what you're looking to get out of the experience. And I know myself, and I know through many of the clients that I've helped, like Rebecca said, it can be overwhelming. There are a lot of communities out there. There's also a little bit of education needed around what are the different terminologies, what are the range of options available for me in terms of price and size and culture and diet and so many aspects. So I try through community finders to also have a really robust blog of resources. So, all kinds of articles about the different, books to read about intentional community living and directories to check out. And I have some lists there about communities, whether it's a vegan community or a health and wellness community, trying to create these lists of resources. So yeah, that's a big part of what I do, mostly helping people who want to join existing communities, but we're just beginning to roll out programs also for community founders, for people who want to be in connection with other founders as they go through the process of starting a big community project, which itself can be a lot of work, but so needed at this time. We really need more communities out there where people are living intentionally in small groups and creating a better world. Yeah.
Yeah. And for folks who are community curious, if you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about, like intentional community, eco village, like this is a totally new concept. This website, the blog tab that Cynthia has just started, you just started this like a year ago, right? Based on demand, but
Mhm.
you are just cranking these out. You have so many incredible, free, informative blogs. I mean, if you want to learn about this lifestyle and you're like, I'm feeling lonely. Like I feel sick from the food I'm eating at the grocery store. It's just all preservatives and processed garbage. And I'm ready to go be around other people and, live in the country or it could be in the city, but do the co-housing or eco-village lifestyle and grow food and, pull resources and not have all that burden like on your own, but you have no idea where to start. Well, there's tons of resources here, tons of blogs. There are also a lot of good presentations on the Exit and Build Land Summit website. Cynthia was a speaker at all of our Land Summit events. So you can watch her talk. She does like intentional communities tour around the world, and you can see how these different, properties are set up. See how beautiful it is. I mean, it's truly, when you go experience this, it's like you just kind of can't not live your life this way again. Like from my experience, it's like, why are we not doing this all over the place? Like, it's just it makes so much sense. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of shout out your blog because you are really doing such a good job putting all this informative content. So I just put this website, communityfinders.com/blog. And I'm just scrolling up to show also like there is a contact, you do also the webinar. You had a very successful webinar, right? In like April, wasn't that in
Mhm.
April?
Yeah, the Intentional Community Summit, and you were a guest speaker on that. And we are going to do again in April another Intentional Community Summit, probably bringing on 12 or more experts from intentional communities, who can speak to the process of joining and starting communities. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, gosh, we have so many plans and other resources and things we want to create. So the best thing I can recommend to folks is going to the communityfinders.com website. And also the Ecovillage tours. I mean, we're focusing on Costa Rica because that's the next one, but we do have other tours being planned throughout the year. One's coming up. So, if
Yeah.
you're like, oh, Costa Rica, not so sure, but, stay tuned for announcements about other tours in different parts of the world. We're going to primarily focus a lot of the upcoming tours on more US communities. We have one in the works for the Southeast, one in the Northeast. So yeah, definitely stay tuned because there's going to be a lot more coming out.
Yes, I love it. You are on fire. I'm so just grateful that you were able to join us today. We're about 30 minutes in. I just want to refresh everyone's memory for the Ecovillage tours. We do have the website. Let me see if I pulled it up. So ecovillagetours.com. If you click that link, then we'll know also that you came from Live Free Academy, our peeps,
Yeah.
our audience.
Mhm.
And if you're able to join, Cynthia is going to be there hosting and you'll get to know her better. And I believe you said 20 people on each tour. So
Yeah.
there's a nice amount of people going. So this is going to be an opportunity to connect with others and not only to learn about the communities we're visiting, but also to connect deeply with the other people who are on the tours. Yay!
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, I've been to a lot of these different programs and events at communities, and sometimes the most value you get is just through forming these deep friendships with
Yeah.
people on the tour. I mean, the group that we had going to Europe, we have a very active email thread going, staying in touch with people in their lives, supporting each other. So I think that's also a big benefit. And we tried, 20 people is a good number of people, but it's not too big. We're going to mostly be traveling around in 3 vans with 4-wheel drive, so we can easily get
Yes.
over the rough roads, point A to point B. And also having enough space for leg room and our luggage and all of that.
Yeah, travel light. That's what I've learned in life.
Mhm.
Okay, we do have a question here. Any eco communities in Ecuador? And then she also asked any eco communities in Canada. So if you want to riff on that real quick before we wrap up, and then
Mhm.
I'll just share screen to the IC.org website too. I know you used to work closely or still do with the
Mhm.
Foundation for Intentional Community with the directory.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good to highlight them, of course. So what I would say about the questions we're getting for asking about communities in Canada or Ecuador, these different countries. I mean, one of the things I would say is that if you're wondering if there's a community nearby, the short answer is probably yes. And there are a variety of directories. We're looking now at the Foundation for Intentional Community website at ic.org, and they have a map where you can see all the different communities. I think we're looking at Ecuador now, and I'm seeing like 5 or so different intentional communities. So that's the answer to your question right there. One of them that I could really highlight in Ecuador, because I've done a little work with them, is Terra Frutis. And they are actually a fruit-based intentional community. So really focusing on that diet. I think you find that a lot in Central and South America because it's such a tropical environment. There's so many abundant fruits. There's really communities that are more focused on that lifestyle and that diet. They're just one I've happened to work with. And of course, we see there's a lot of others. And then in Canada, yes, there are many different intentional communities. As I mentioned earlier, I'm from Vermont. Canada is about a 3-hour drive away from here. So I've been across the border a bunch, both in the eastern and western side of the country out to BC. And there's some really beautiful projects. Yeah, I mean, what could I recommend off the top of my head? I think one that's really inspiring is Yarrow Ecovillage. Oh yeah, La Cité Écologique. They're a really great one in Quebec. They're not open to visitors right now, so that's not the reason why I didn't want to like highlight them, but they also have done a lot of great work with developing businesses and being
Yeah,
financially
entrepreneurship.
self-sustainable, yeah, and employing people from the local area, like really being a robust, financially sustainable and regenerative eco-village. So it's one of the cool things about them. And Yarrow Eco-Village, they're in Chilliwack, Canada, and they're more focused on agriculture. They have a lot of kids in the community, 100 plus residents, really just a thriving eco-village in BC, British Columbia. So yeah, there's a bunch, and I could go on and on.
Well, we're here then.
Probably better person,
The
they'll have
other
a call.
side. I
Yeah,
mean, there's a lot that exists, but so I just wanted to bring up IC.org because there's a great resource that people maybe aren't aware of, like just to find these existing communities. But
yeah, and there are a few other online community directories. That's one of the resources
Global
that I
Eco
have on my
Village
blog.
Network.
Exactly. Yeah, ecovillage.org. That's another one. Yeah, Global Eco Village Network. Yeah. Yeah. So there is no shortage of ways to find communities. Even frankly, these days, most communities have websites. So even if you
Yep.
do a Google search for like intentional communities in Ohio or eco villages, near me, you're going to get some results. That's not necessarily the hard part. The hard part is sifting through, knowing what you're looking at, knowing if the project is legit, knowing if it's a good fit for you, even getting clear internally on what it is you want. That's more of the challenging piece and where I like to focus when I work with folks.
Yeah. Yeah, you're great with all of this. It's so wonderful that you've visited so many communities and that you're spreading the word. And it's like such important work. So I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything you do. And I am so excited to be with you in Costa Rica soon. We're gonna have so much fun. And
We
if
really
y'all
are.
want to join, let me just do one last screen share. So remember the website, here it is. Doop, doop, doop. So I'm on John's fancy setup here. We've got a lot of computer screens in front of me. So let me make sure I'm
Great.
pulling up the right stuff here. So this is our link so that we know that you came from Live Free Academy, which thank you for watching, guys. I'm so grateful that y'all are on this call. I know it's a weird time to do a podcast, but thank you also, Cynthia, for carving out time. And the website is ecovillagetours.com. And if you click this one, it'll help us know that you came from Live Free Academy. But just remember, this is a quick registration process. All you do is a quick $500 down payment, and then you can even do your remaining payments a little later down the road. But this is going to be in January 2024. You could go ahead and just pay for it all up front too, so that you lock in that early bird price, which that's amazing. You can save $400. That's a great deal.
Mm-hmm. And we did have a question just now about joining both tours, and there is a discount if you join both of the 9-day tours, which are back to back. So you can have this really long immersive experience, and there is a $1,000 discount. So, compared to buying them both separately, if you join both, which we really want to encourage, we want people to come along for the full experience. So would love if folks, want to join on both tours instead of one.
Well, I wish I could. I would be there because I feel like, with what we're doing in Texas and just where we're at also, like in society, like, oh, it's so sad. Like there's so many things happening that just, it pains my heart to the point that I just am trying to focus on what I do have control over. And, living right now on the 10-acre farm that John and I have with our 3 other community members and our kiddos. And we're slowly but surely, the garden's going, the chickens, and just, it's a lot of work. And it's so rewarding. And it's so nice to have the peace of living in a quiet, like immersed in nature kind of environment, in contrast to like living in like where you hear the ambulances and the fire trucks and the traffic honk, 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 and it's like stimulus. Like I can't explain how nice it's been to just remove myself from that and to then be able to shift my focus to creating and, relaxing and exercising more and eating healthy. Like it's all connected. And I feel like even though I'm, obviously the oldest I've ever been, I feel like I'm even healthier than I was when I was younger, like in my 20s. Living this lifestyle has been a total game changer for me. And yeah, there's a lot of ailments in this world and a lot of, health really epidemic with the foods that are eaten and just heart issues and a long list of cancers. And it's just so unfortunate. But also at the same time, with everything happening and, violence and war and everything, it's like there's a huge call to action here to learn what you can do, what you do have control over in order to grow your own food, to be more self-sufficient and to not have that pressure to like do it all on your own. That's why I think these communities are so just a breath of fresh air, so important to learn about, because we've got to switch things around. We got to do a 180. But do you have anything to add, Cynthia? Like, I know you've been in this line of work for a while. We can wrap up. Anything to add on like what people can do today to like kind of just kickstart their process if they're really curious and they want to, is there a newsletter they can sign up for? Do you have on your website a way to contact you? So I'll just let you kind of wrap up and close there.
Yeah, really happy for folks to contact me. Easy to get in touch with. My email address, cynthia@communityfinders.com. You can also find the contact page on the Community Finders website, also Ecovillage Tour. All roads lead to me, so don't hesitate. Just reach out through any of the contact forms, and I'm on social media as well. And I do have a weekly newsletter, goes out every Wednesday. So that's a great way to stay in touch and learn about how you can take steps on your community living journey. It's really intended to be a very practical newsletter to support folks on their path. And yeah, I encourage you just to do some research. Go find out what exists in terms of intentional communities. As Rebecca mentioned, we do live in a time with so many challenges and crises, and sometimes it just can feel really hard. But then I look to these communities and I'm like, wow, creating a better world is just right there. It's just a step away. There's people who are doing it. I mean, I go on a walk throughout my community here. I did that just before we hopped on the podcast, and I see the kids playing and, somebody helping in the garden. Somebody else is repairing our chicken coop. And I'm just like, wow, I am filled with these relationships in my life that are so supportive and really help me as I go through, my own stresses and challenges. So just encourage folks to get inspired. And I also want to appreciate you, Rebecca, for everything that you're doing, both modeling how this lifestyle can be so important through the work you're doing on your homestead and your property, and then all the online work you're doing, social media, and now also launching this podcast. Like, you are on fire. That's awesome.
Hey, it takes a village, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yay. Thank you, Cynthia. You're amazing. Okay, so real quick, guys, here's one last reminder. Here are the websites that you can visit right now. It is Ecovillage Tours. .com. Click that link and you'll get all the information, the dates, all the different communities with their corresponding websites, and you can learn kind of what the experience would entail more fully. Take advantage too of that 2-tour combo, because that's awesome. Like, and then, you get to rest for 2 days and go right on to see the other properties. So if you're paying for the flight down to Costa Rica, you might as well, if you can swing it. And then just real quick, also, I want to share the Community Finders website. So like Cynthia said, join her newsletters, keep in touch, read these blog posts. Like, I read her blog posts and learn so much too. It's like, whoa, there's so much happening. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do this. And it could even start with something so small as you getting a compost bin. Like, that's a start, just getting a start, finding a place where there's community garden beds and getting some herbs planted. Like, all these small things make a big difference. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I appreciate you so much. And I guess so we'll sign off now, and we'll post the information for the Ecovillage Tour in Costa Rica. And hey, we'll see you also at the next Exit and Build Land Summit in May. So we got a lot of fun events coming up. Thank you, Cynthia. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone.
All right, I'll do a quick outro. So yes, y'all, thank you so much for joining. Agora's getting a little tired sitting on my lap. He's got his Peaceful Explorer shirt on. Can you see it on the camera? I did this because we're traveling to Costa Rica. Well, he's not coming with me, but because we're traveling to Costa Rica, I thought it'd be funny to get him in his little outfit for the podcast interview. So yeah, podcast number 1 down. We did it, and I appreciate all of you for bearing with me at the beginning as we worked through some technical difficulties, just learning how to use this fancy studio. But I also want to express gratitude to John for helping me to get all this set up, and also to Vanessa, who helped with our social media branding. So I'm excited to do this now on a weekly basis. I'm super grateful that Cynthia joined us. Amazing, amazing work that she's conducting. This Ecovillage tour in Costa Rica is going to be such an incredible experience. And I really feel it's the most important and urgent work that we can do in this world right now. And so I have just immense gratitude that she's organized this. And I hope that you all can join. Again, it's ecovillagetours.com. Thank you for tuning in for podcast number 1, Live Free with Rebecca. And I guess Agora, he's just kind of chilling. Thank you for watching. And we're going to have more content in the future about well-being, eating healthy, even using products that are healthy, and, getting away from some of the toxic ingredients that are in many of the common everyday, cleaning supplies and things like that. And we'll certainly focus on various intentional communities, tiny home communities, agri-hoods, co-housing throughout on the weekly podcast as well. If you have anyone that you think would be a good fit for me to interview, I am all ears. I could use all the help I can get. At this point, I'm just reaching out to people who I know are working on awesome projects and inviting them on and getting that scheduled out. So you can keep in touch by following my Live Free with Rebecca Bush Telegram channel. If you go on Telegram, you can find that there. And then I also have my Live Free with Rebecca Bush YouTube channel. So please subscribe. And if you comment, that'll help me to see what kind of content you're interested in so that I can make sure I'm interviewing folks who are talking about topics that people find useful and helpful. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm just using my personal Instagram and personal Facebook at this point, but feel free to find me there as well. And if you wish to email me, my email address is rebeccabush@livefree.academy. Thanks, y'all. Signing off. Peace and love. Bye.